from the roof, we've also designed the building in such a way that the slope of the roof, that the catchment of the water, that it was sort of optimal catchment of water. Thank you. Anybody else?
Is the collection of waste, the recycling, it's subsidized by the city of Cape Town? Because I think Cape Town is promoting green buildings, collecting waste and all of that.
No.
So I was just asking.
No subsidy from the City of Cape Town. Look, I think we work closely with the City of Cape Town, and we sort of interact a lot of the times to keep, I think, up to date with what is available, but we completely function independently from that perspective. Just, I think, an important thing to remember is in terms of property management is that in the past our waste management was treated as operational expenditure. So what we've changed that, especially with our new lease agreements and especially with your food and beverage tenants, because I think if you look at it from a City of Cape Town perspective, you would definitely get billed from it as a services, like you would for water and sewage and electricity consumption. So we've changed that slightly. So for all new tenants that come online, as well as for all our food and beverage tenants, we hold the right to bill them for the waste that they generate. So how we do it is in the same principle as the City of Cape Town. We have a rate per bin that we charge you for. However, in order to encourage our tenants to recycle as much as possible, we have a zero charge for anything that's recyclable. We have a fee of 10 Rand per bin for waste that goes to Philippi, to the agri-protein plant, and that's purely to cover a small portion of our expenditure on transport. And then we have a fee, I think we've increased it now to roughly about 28 Rand per bin for waste to landfill. And we particularly made that reasonably high-ish so that people can start feeling it in their pockets and take responsibility for the waste that they do send to landfill. And then if we do have contaminated waste, it is basically a bin which is perfectly good recyclable material mixed with wet waste and therefore it's contaminated, then we charge them 40 Rand per bin for that. So we do have a very effective system on site. We've got waste collectors. They work with tablets or a similar electronic device, and they basically mark it there on a daily basis. They will knock on your door, Mr. Tenant, I'm here to collect your waste. And he says, okay, so you've got one recyclable, one organic, and one contaminated. Yes, we agree. And that gets loaded onto an electronic database. On a monthly basis, we pull those reports, and from there we do our billing for our tenants. But to give you an idea again, I think that we're definitely not covering all our expenditure on waste. That's kind of like impossible. But we do feel strongly that I think also from a sustainability perspective, it's quite important to hold people liable, and therefore we do charge them a small portion. But I think it's not even a quarter of what we spend gets recovered by waste of billing for our tenants. So, but every little bit helps. So I think that's quite an efficient system for when you do property management and you work with tenants as well, to make sure that they take ownership of what they generate.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I think that you would contact us with Holland, so if anything comes to mind after you've left the site, then you're more than welcome to drop me an email and I'll respond as quickly as possible. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go into the mall. I'll just show you the food counters. We go down and pick and pay, and then we'll go into the planting and I'll show you there. Okay.
I'm going to run along there.
Okay,
lovely to see you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Lekker om te ontmoeten. Bye.
Some of our residential, this is 140 residential apartments over here. So this is not offices, that's residential only. We maintain the roads, the parking, everything that you see here is we maintain. The shoreline over there, in terms of the rock revetment and shoreline, we maintain that as well. We spend about just over R1 million a year on additional rocks and maintaining that shoreline so it doesn't erode away.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah, these waves come and break. You see the rocks that's over here? Those big rocks start like this, they turn into marbles.
It's the force of the sea.
There's two shareholders, growth fund and PIC. Now, PIC is the government's pension fund. Okay, but it is still seen as a private entity. This is 100% private. It's just got two separate shareholders. Growth Point is listed. It's the largest listed property management company in South Africa, and the SPIC, so no, it's private. We don't get any government funds, any subsidies, nothing.
Just the port.
Yeah.
The port is part of it.
Well, no, well, we manage the water, the jetties, everything in part of the waterfront. As you on the map that you see, I'll show you. This is, you just hold it over there for me. Okay. That is the port over there. This is the waterfront over here. We manage all that water, the jetties, the quayside, everything over there. We manage it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, I've stopped over here. A couple of things on the floor. You'll see there's food counters. That's our food counters. Okay, there's 4 beams in those counters. So if you cross the first 2 beams, whichever one you cross, that way, you can count whether you're going in or out. Okay, and we've got these at all the doors throughout the mall. Okay, other things you see as a wind lobby. Okay, we've got so we have to automate those fire doors because it becomes, the wind blows from that side, it becomes so strong that people can't open the doors. But why we do that is it's also for air conditioning. Because if you don't have the sliding doors or revolving doors, the cool that you're doing, the cool air, the air conditioning just goes out the wall. So we need to control the temperature, just a bit in terms of energy efficiency, but it helps you to control the temperature as well in the wall. Okay.
Got a suspicion I wiped the first bit of my filming. Tough for those who aren't here.
It's actually quite interesting to see what goes on behind the scenes.
It's amazing, right?
You come here year after year after year and you never really actually even think about it
No,
at
you
all.
don't, and that is it just shows you how well they do it, that you don't even think about it. You know, it's just seamless.
Just expect
Yes.
this just right.
Yes.
Very sort of similar. In terms of scale and openness. Some of the other waterfronts in Baltimore, initially in the States, but some of the other, if you go to Hong Kong or Singapore, the density is high. There's a lot of buildings and it's different. But if you look at the scale, and there's a lot of Scandinavian ones, and some American ones also, and then also if you compare like Sydney and Melbourne.
I think a lot of the inspiration that they've got was from San Francisco.
And Baltimore. But I was at Baltimore 2 years ago. Sadly, Baltimore's gone backwards. So I think we got the inspiration, but we're sort of now ahead of them. Personal view, but I think, yeah. Okay, sorry, honey. Okay, if Chris will just take you through some of the energy efficiency stuff that we've done on the lighting over here, so that you can see where, because, yeah, you'll see some lights are on, some lights are off. Chris can take you through the journey, because we started our energy efficiency projects in 2008. Maybe Chris can just talk you through some of that.
Yeah, just from lighting, I mean, the lights at stove now, that used to burn 24 hours, and that used to be 150 watt with lights. So at the time, it was always glance and glimmer because you've got lights in the perception is sharp with regard to that. And in 2008, we started with our energy split. These LEDs, they used to be 2 by 13 watt DLH light fittings, and then you had your halogen with 50 watt small light as well. We replace it with, you see the small diamond one, that's only 1 watt now. Because we take that to 1 watt, we need to up the light in certain areas. Of all our cone lighting as well, that used to be fluorescent, that is now 8 watts compared to 58 watts that we used to have. So that was in 2008, but just from 2008 now we probably went to 3 stages already. Because normally at that time your life expectancy was 3 years, it was 20,000 hours. Now with the LED technology it's 50,000 hours. So depending on your hours, that's 5 years plus with regards to that. There is also still a component which is your driver, that will be your maintenance, but it's very small now. I mean, we've got warranties in place now, just on the warranty for 3 to 5 years on the others as well. So that is where we started, and then we also switch off the lights with regards to there. You can see the lights is on now, because we've put those on a timer, because at night it will go off. But we also use a daylight occupancy sensor where it will, when it's overcast, then the lights will come on. Now with the clouds moving over, you will see the lights comes on, and then if it's open up again, it will off again. Because that's part of our energy saving. Just on the electricity bill, just for the waterfront, total annually we budget 80 to 90 million for this year. That's just on electricity cost that we giving out in terms of that. But also we started with a 1.1 kilowatt solar installation. To date we've got 900 kilowatt connected to the grid, and there's one last roof that needs to be completed. Actually two, it's Whiskey Offices, which is 189 kilowatt, and then the Saru roof. But the reason for delay on that is due to roof replacement, because you can't put solar on in the next 2 years, 5 years, you've got waterproofing problems, and then you need to take it off again. So that's the delay on the process. But going forward, as part of our sustainability process, we're adding more solar. One of my key performance areas is to add another megawatt for next year in 2017. And also, some people spoke about 4-star. The shopping center here is a 4-star building. We had it rated by the Green Council Committee. And also on silo 6, silo 1 is a 6-star. But going forward, all new developments, minimum of 4-star rating. And that will include energy, all your material, not just energy, but all your acoustics and everything, or your air and all that. That's why Garrett is using the seawater for cooling as well, because that is a saving on water as well with regards to that. On load shedding, the other question was, we just completed the project about 6 months ago for the shopping center. We've installed an additional 630 kilowatt KVA generators, and that will, in the event of load shedding, which we hope Eskom now say we're not going to have, that it will carry this whole wall, so all the tenants will be able to trade without the condition of air conditioning, because we take that off, because that's more luxury and comfort for trading. So yeah, that's just on the mall, and then on our outbuildings, on our offices, that is also 100% redundancy. When I say redundant, 100% is excluding air conditioning, but the tenant will be able to trade in the event of load shedding. And that is with all new buildings, so that is the standard that we go forward to. Just from a technology, from a lighting point of view, this is also signage. No more neon signage is allowed to the tenants. We've got a tenant manual out to the tenants as well, which is part of our sustainability program. That if a tenant comes in and they want to plan fit out, we've got a green list, which is 20 watt per square meter. That means the lighting is standard, it's only LED or fluorescent. If you want to go higher any other light, what is the max that we use? 35 watt. Before that it was 70 watt, so now it's 35 watt. That's if you don't call, if the costing or anything, then that's the max that we will allow. But total area, heat load is 20 watt per square meter. And I must say, a lot of tenants has bought into that, even your international tenants, your cotton on H&M. We got some resistance from jewelries, but at the end we sold them 2-3 jewelries that done it, and now they're following. Because in the old time, the jewelers that they have to have light on the watches and the diamonds and all that. Now LED is doing it. And just from a lighting point of view, we've got one tenant jewelry with AC, the temperature, it dropped by 4 degrees, because they were always complaining about heat and it's lighting when they're not enough air conditioning. And when they change the lighting, the temperature dropped, and there was no drop in sales. Actually, it's actually going up, and you can also say thank you for the exchange rate on that. but yeah, that is just a small introduction with regards to the energy saving that we undertaken. Right now, as we're talking, because we were also part of an Eskom program, we're now in year 3. Eskom assisted us with the rebate, the 4.3 million project. We got 2.1 million back in terms of 10%, and the next 30% will be over 3 years. They've done their MNV. When I say MNV, it's meet and verification, so they would come back every year, which they, this past Monday they came, and to see if we've done any changes with regards to the lighting in terms of the test. Has the energy go up in terms of the lighting that they gave us a rebate, and then they will give that back to us. In our parking, because it was a 3-year process, the lighting, which was fluorescent, that has come to an end now in terms of deteriorating. And in one fitting, you used to have 2 bulbs, which is 2 by 25 watt. We've undertaken 2 parking garages. The breakwater at 40, we put in LED now, and it's instead of the 2 by 35 watt, it's 1 by 35 watt. So it's a 50% saving in electricity, but also in heating. And when we took the gentleman over on Monday, and he's noticed it because he's done his checks in the past years, and he says, you guys have done something here. Because then, just by changing the LED lights and just the savings on that circuit, he says the 20% reduction, you can see. This energy that we're using, so we're waiting on that report to come through, and then pass that on to estimate now. So yeah, so on the escalators as well, we've got occupancy cases on there, so there's people coming in, people have but at night, we'll put them down with regard to and it will come to a standstill. So in the old time, we still got old escalators where we need to switch it off, but that's part of the security, part of our energy saving. But with the new technology, the ramps off, it starts up automatically and it's that's also part of our energy. And also when initially with the escalators, I mean lifts, when we went out to tender, I mean there was lifts that was needed to be replaced, and only 25-year life cycle lifts. And the tender that came second highest was regards to the lifts. We didn't go for the lowest because on energy, just on the motor side, the payback was 7 to 8 years that we could recoup that. So the energy used on the lifts also took that in consideration. So it's not just on the pencil anything. We look at this whole thing. So yeah, any questions?
Okay, I have a question, but not with regards to lighting. I just want to know, I've heard you guys talking about building management, lighting and all of that, and security. Do you have first aid emergency services in the event that something happens to crack?
All of our guards have basic first aid training as a requirement, and they do refresher training once a year. We also have things like firefighting training we give to our guards. And then we have there's a clinic that we have just outside the mall here, which is manned by paramedics. So depending on the peak season, we might bring in extra paramedics. So normally they'd be there from 10 in the morning to 10 at night, because that's when the busiest, 7 days a week. But then like in December and school holidays, and if we're having certain events, then we'll bring in more paramedics. And they have quad motorbikes, so they can get around the site. The contract that we have with ER24 also that should we need an ambulance, they'll bring an ambulance to site. And that service is provided at no cost to the public. Unless you need to go to hospital or you need to be transported with an ambulance, then there's a charge to the hospital. But on site, if we need to assist, then we don't charge them. Okay, I don't get sick on Okay, let's go down in the basement and I will just show you. So.
We can walk to the. I don't know.
Those parts I'm just putting on my other colleagues from marketing, because now they told me head on they were still deciding if the LED is still coming or they're going to use the actual pay station to advertise.
You'll note pay stations now, that's for parking. So our pay stations, you can do credit card, you can do cash, you can pay in coins, you can pay in notes, and it'll give you notes back. So we try and keep the technology upgraded on that. And we then scatter them throughout the mall. There's enough pay stations that you can pay. But parking, clearly it's a big issue. So you'll see now parking, there's bay monitoring systems in the garage. So you can see there's red and green lights that shows you clearly when there's bays.
We also have a VMS, as we call it, a variable message system. So you'll see both outside the garage and in the garage, there's indicators saying there's 10 bays there, there's 200 bays there, so it makes it easy for the public to see exactly where they're going from the park. We've just recently installed 3 electric vehicle charging stations at the waterfront in association with BMW and Nissan, where you'll in the future be able to come with your electric vehicle, charge it at the waterfront, and then still go and do your shopping and know that you're putting petrol in your car. So we've rolled out the first 3. We'll see as the market for electric vehicles increase, so we'll obviously increase that sort of service. Okay.
closed down, the chillers were still running and all that. So humidity was the big units for during the day, and at night when the cinema still run, and because of the mountain control, there's less load. You've got smaller import chillers that actually that units that ramps, and then just continue trading until the cinemas close, etc. and all that.
Are tenants charged for air conditioning? So is there air conditioning charge to tenants?
Yeah.
There's a rate per square meter.
Yeah.
Whatever the lettable area is.
What we're going to do now is